Welcome back to the Hawks Adventures podcast. We've spent 2 episodes building a very specific case. Episode 1, AI historical failures are not random. They are patterned, predictable, and systematic. Episode 2, here are all 9 of them, documented in order with community evidence. Today is the episode where we answer the question every content creator, game publisher, and historical illustrator has been waiting for. What do you actually do about it? I'm your host, and my guest is back for the 3rd time. This is the practical episode.
This is the one that changes how you work. The first 2 episodes are diagnostic. This one is the treatment.
Let's start with the instinctive response, because I think most people generating AI images, when they get a bad result, do the same thing.
They add more instructions to the prompt, be more specific, use stronger language, add more negatives. No katanas this time, no Gothic arches. It helps, it is not sufficient.
Why not?
Because a longer prompt is not the same as a smarter prompt. Adding no katanas reduces katana appearances. It does not eliminate them. And it does nothing about the Victorian lanterns you didn't think to exclude, or the Gothic arch in the background you didn't notice until the 3rd time you looked at the image, or the gladiator's sword worn correctly on the hip, but clearly a medieval falchion, not a gladius. The failures are diverse, interacting, and context-dependent. A static prompt, however detailed, addresses the failures you anticipated. A correction pipeline addresses the failures that actually occurred.
Say that again because I want it to land.
The difference between prompting harder and building a pipeline is the difference between guessing and learning.
3 stages. Walk us through them, starting with stage 1.
Stage 1 is the initial generation prompt, and it's engineered for 4 specific qualities: photographic realism, period-accurate atmosphere, Roman specificity, controlled randomness. Each one is deliberate.
Start with photographic realism, because that might seem like a stylistic choice, not an accuracy one.
It's both. The instruction must look like a photograph, not an illustration, does something specific. It suppresses the painterly fantasy art aesthetic that AI defaults to when generating historical content. That default aesthetic carries its own set of anachronisms baked in. The lighting, the color treatment, the visual drama all pull from fantasy illustration, which is historically contaminated. Pushing toward documentary visual language removes a whole layer of contamination before you've written a single historical constraint.
And period-accurate atmosphere.
Established through palette and lighting direction rather than historical instruction. Specifying a bronze and ochre palette with gritty atmospheric lighting produces imagery that feels Roman without requiring the model to independently reach for Roman visual references. The palette does the period work. You're not telling the model, make it look Roman. You're specifying the exact visual ingredients that Roman imagery is made of and letting the model assemble them.
Roman specificity. You go down to the material level.
That's the key. Brick and stone construction, hand-forged metal, ceramic and bronze lamp vessels, worn and aged surfaces, vague period references, ancient Rome, 1st century AD, produced generic ancient imagery. Material-level specificity produces Roman imagery. The model knows what brick looks like. It knows what hand-forged iron looks like. You're speaking its language.
And controlled randomness, the chaos parameter.
Low chaos -- chaos 5. This is a setting most people crank up because it produces more visually interesting variation. For accuracy-constrained work, that variation is the enemy. Higher chaos introduces unexpected elements. And unexpected elements, in historical imagery, almost always manifest as anachronisms. The trade-off is clear: less visual surprise in exchange for fewer katanas.
So stage 1 gets you close. It does not get you all the way there.
Correct, which is why stage 2 exists.
The structured audit. This is not a casual look at the image.
It is a systematic check against defined criteria applied consistently across every image, regardless of how good it looks at first glance. That caveat matters. How good it looks at first glance is exactly when you stop looking carefully. The audit forces you to keep looking.
Walk us through the layers.
The visual anchoring pass comes first. Before any historical evaluation, the evaluator identifies and lists the primary visual elements actually present in the image: people, clothing, armor, weapons, architecture, environment, lighting. This step exists to prevent a specific failure mode, evaluating elements that aren't actually visible. An artifact you can't see can't be flagged. This pass grounds the entire evaluation in what is demonstrably present, not what you assume is there.
That's a more disciplined starting point than most people use.
Most people look at an image and react. The visual anchoring pass forces you to inventory before you react. It's the difference between a surgeon checking the chart before cutting and a surgeon going from memory.
Layer 2. Evidence confirmation.
Every suspected issue must be confirmed against clearly visible image evidence before it can be flagged as a failure. Suspicion is not sufficient. If a potential problem cannot be confirmed from visible pixels, it is marked uncertain rather than assigned as a violation. This prevents false positive, flagging things that look like they might be wrong without confirming they actually are. In a high-volume catalog workflow, false positives are expensive. They cost you regeneration passes on images that were actually fine.
Layer 3. The historical accuracy check itself.
Each visible element is checked against the Roman historical consistency rule set, the canonical set of period constraints covering lighting, clothing, footwear, armor, weapons, architecture, symbols, materials, hairstyle. Every failure gets a severity level and documented visible evidence. This is not a gut feel assessment. It is a structured evaluation with traceable outputs.
And the 4th layer. Showcase worthiness.
Images that pass all historical checks receive a 1 to 5 star rating for composition, visual impact, and period conviction. A technically accurate image with weak composition doesn't serve a commercial catalog any better than an inaccurate one. Accuracy is the flaw. Quality is what you're actually selling.
What did the yield look like across 1,100 images?
Roughly 7% achieved 5-star showcase status, about 12% at 4 stars. The rest rejected or flagged for correction. That sounds low. It isn't. It reflects the standard, not the failure rate. A curated catalogue of genuinely exceptional, historically accurate images is a fundamentally different product than a large catalogue of adequate ones. That's the distinction that justifies an $800 commercial license. The buyer isn't paying for volume, they're paying for the standard.
Stage 3. The corrective reprompting prompt. You called this the most powerful stage and the one most people skip.
Because the instinct is to discard rejected images and generate new ones. That instinct is wrong. Rejected images contain information. Their audit results tell you exactly what went wrong, with specific, visible evidence. That information feeds directly into a refined mid-journey prompt that addresses those specific failures. The correction loop turns audit failures into prompt intelligence. Every rejected image makes the next generation smarter.
What are the 3 inputs to the corrective reprompt?
The original scene description, the specific failures identified in the audit with their visible evidence, and the core period accuracy criteria. The output is a refined mid-journey prompt with targeted negative specifications for exactly what went wrong in that specific image.
Give us an example.
A prompt produces Victorian bracket lanterns with glass panels. The audit flags it, evidence confirmation. Confirmed, severity 4 exceeds discard threshold. The corrective reprompt doesn't just add no Victorian lanterns. It adds Roman oil lamp on simple iron bracket, no glass panels, no pipe runs, no conduit, warm flickering flame only, no Victorian or post-Roman lighting elements. The model responds to precise visual descriptions of exactly what you don't want in the visual language it was trained on. Vague exclusions don't work. Specific visual anti-descriptions do.
And the regeneration of that image produces
a ceramic oil lamp casting warm directional light across rough stone. The audit identified the failure. The correction addressed it precisely. The regeneration incorporates that precision. That image now goes back through the audit. If it passes, it goes into the catalogue. If it fails on something new, the loop runs again.
You also make a point in the article about borderline images, the ones that pass historical checks but rate low on composition. Most people discard those.
Wrong move. A borderline image, 2 or 3 stars, technically accurate but weak in composition or atmosphere, frequently produces a 4 or 5-star version when given a targeted, corrective reprompt. You have a scene that already cleared the accuracy bar. You're not fixing history at that point. You're fixing drama, lighting angle, framing. That's a much cheaper problem to solve than starting from scratch. Mine the borderlines.
Let's talk about the strategic value of this pipeline beyond any single catalog, because you make a point in the article that I want to highlight. This is not just a quality control mechanism.
It's a learning system. Each cycle adds to the accumulated prompt intelligence for a given scene type, period, and accuracy constraint set. By the time you've processed several hundred images, your prompts carry the documented failure history of everything that went wrong before them. The failure rate decreases, the yield improves. You are not just making better images, you are building an asset. The prompt intelligence is itself valuable.
And the methodology is period agnostic.
Swap ancient Rome for Viking Age Scandinavia, feudal Japan, ancient Greece, adjust the specific accuracy constraints for the period, and the pipeline runs the same way. The 3 stages don't change. The Roman historical consistency rule set gets replaced with a Viking Age rule set or a feudal Japan rule set. The audit structure is identical. The corrective reprompting logic is identical. You're building a transferable workflow, not a one-time solution.
For the game publisher, the tabletop designer, the YouTube creator building a content library. What does this pipeline represent in practical terms?
It represents the difference between a stock image library and an asset you can defend. Anyone can generate AI images. Not everyone can generate AI images that hold up to scrutiny from the community that cares most about accuracy. And that community is, as we established in episode 1, the same community that is your highest value buyer. The pipeline is how you close the gap between looks historical and is historical. And that gap is where the commercial value lives.
The complete production-ready documents, the full Roman historical consistency rule set, the structured issue handoff format, the canonical failure tag vocabulary, and the corrective reprompting template are all available as a free resource at hawksadventures.com. Next episode, the annotated prompt architecture itself. We go inside the actual prompts, 6 parts. We'll see you there.
The next one is where you see the exact language worth the wait.